Hey everyone, my name is Ellie and in today's video I'm actually going to be talking about the menopause. So I know I certainly don't look old enough to be qualified to do this video, but I actually was diagnosed with the menopause when I was 14 years old, and it's the same for 1 in 1,000 women in the UK that are diagnosed with the menopause under the age of 30. So even though it's rare, it does happen. So I wanted to do this video just to spread awareness, and also for those of you who are going through menopause at a young age, I think this video will help just to kind of relate to somebody who knows exactly what you're going through, because that really helps me. So over on Instagram, I asked you guys to send in your questions about the menopause, and you did. Thank you so much for the amazing response. And in today's video, I'm going to answer them. So let's get into it. First question is the menopause a side effect of your cancer, or did you lose your female organs with the cancer? So a bit of both really. So of course having the chemotherapy, so for those of you who don't know, the reason I got the menopause was because I was diagnosed with cancer. The cancer treatment caused me to go into the menopause. So there's 2 ways it caused me to go into the menopause. So the chemotherapy is very harsh. The reproductive system doesn't like chemotherapy, so it actually damaged my ovaries. So my ovaries don't produce the sex hormones such as estrogen and progesterone as they should. And the second reason is that I had radiotherapy, and the radiotherapy was targeted to my abdomen, particularly the left side. That meant that the left ovary got a lot of exposure to radiation, and therefore it was damaged, and as a result I don't produce the female sex hormones at all. So without my hormone replacement therapies, I wouldn't be producing estrogen and progesterone, and therefore I have all the horrible menopausal symptoms. So I'll just give you a run through the different hormone replacement therapies I've had. So the first one I was on was just an estrogen based one called ethinyl estradiol. I love this one because of course it didn't have any progesterone in it, so that meant that I got no periods whatsoever, so that was great. But then I moved on, like upgraded to loestrin, which is estrogen and progesterone based, and that meant that actually my periods did come back. Whilst it was a bit of an inconvenience, I won't lie, because I haven't had many periods in my life, so I wasn't really looking forward to it, but it was good that my reproductive system was actually kind of interacting with the hormones and doing what it should do. And then this one is on a national shortage, so we had to bin this one away, and now I've literally only just started this 2 days ago, this one called Gederol. So if anyone has used Gederol, then let me know in the comments, because I'm very new to Gederol. I haven't really used it very much, but it seems okay so far. Not having any menopausal symptoms such as hot flashes, achiness, insomnia, all that, so I should be fine. Does menopause happen with all cancer patients, all cancer types, or is it just the luck of the draw? So it really just depends on what your treatment protocol is. So for me, I had 18 months of chemo. It was very aggressive treatment, and of course I had the radiotherapy alongside. And the more aggressive your treatment is, the worse damage your reproductive system will get. So if you have 4 months of chemo, then you're less likely to have reproductive system damage than someone who's had, you know, a longer amount of chemo, if that makes sense. So yeah, it just really depends, and I'm sure there's different chemotherapies that react worse with the reproductive system. How do you feel about the menopause? I love you so much. Thank you so much for that comment. But yeah, I actually feel fine about the menopause. I know that's really odd, but I've just accepted it. And also, with my history of having cancer, that seemed like a much larger obstacle than the menopause. Whereas with cancer, if the initial treatment didn't work, then there wasn't a very secure plan B. Whereas with the menopause, there are other options. You can go on hormone replacement therapy, which makes you feel a million times better. And then there are other options such as adoption, and I'm sure IVF is also something. So for me, I don't see it as a big deal, because I know that I can resolve it. there are other options out there. And of course, I'm not going to feel negative about it for the rest of my life, because I've got to live with it, and that means that I've got to accept it. I can't do anything to change it, so I may as well have a positive outlook and just embrace it. Like, yeah, I might be different to the average teenager my age, but really we all go through our different problems, and this is mine. This is something that's unique to me, and it's just an obstacle I'm going to have to overcome. And yeah, I'm just going to try and take it in my stride and deal with it the best I can. If you went through the menopause already, can you not have children? For me, I definitely would not be able to have children in the future, just because the radiotherapy actually scarred my uterus, meaning that it's extremely unlikely that I would be able to carry a baby to full term, because my uterus is damaged. It's not a great house for a baby because of all the damage it had from the radiotherapy. So that's why I am exploring the idea of adoption. Of course, not yet, because I'm only 18 and will not be having children for quite a considerable number of years, but that will be my option, and I'm happy with that. How do you cope with infertility? Struggling since being diagnosed with a genetic disorder. I'm so sorry to hear about your genetic disorder. It really sucks that infertility is one of the implications of that. But my main tips are, I'll get the book out. So first of all, acceptance, because even though it sounds harsh, there's nothing that you can do to change it. So you may as well accept it, take it in your stride, and try and make the most out of a bad situation, because having optimism and positivity is much better than being pessimistic. The second one is that there are alternatives, there are options out there. I know that adoption and fostering may not be for everybody, but there are other options such as IVF if you can do that. Hey everyone, I just want to clarify that postmenopausal women's eggs are not viable for IVF. So the ways that they could have IVF is either by using eggs that they had frozen earlier on in life, if that's an opportunity, or by using fresh or frozen donor eggs, I guess. And if you have the money to do it, it's a struggle really, because it's just not easy. It's not clear cut. Everyone has their own little journey that they go through. And the options can be quite hard. So with adoption, I know that there's quite a long process to actually adopt a child, and with IVF there's the expense and being part of the criteria to get into it, and it doesn't always work. So I know that I can't easily just say that there are other options, because of course the easiest option would be to have a baby naturally, but unfortunately for us that are infertile, that doesn't happen. So I guess the best way to cope with it is to have a positive mindset, just to help you try and figure out what option's best for you, and to cope with dealing with those options if they go wrong. If that makes sense. I feel like I rambled quite a lot there. Okay, and then my last one is just never feel worthless, because I remember when I was first diagnosed with infertility, I initially thought, what is my future partner gonna think? Like, are they going to want to have their own biological child? Am I stopping them from doing that? But really, you've just got to think that you're not worthless. If your partner wanted a biological child so badly, then maybe they're not the right person for you, because they should be willing to compromise, and that shouldn't be a deal breaker. If it is a deal breaker for them, then good riddance to them, because you need to find someone who's willing to accept you for who you are, and is able to support you through the whole infertility process, because at the end of the day, it's really hard for you, so you should have someone who's willing to support you. Dating advice 101 from me. I never thought I would be a dating guru ever, but apparently I am, and I have the most tragic history with boyfriends, so yeah, just try and take as much advice as you can, and just take it with a pinch of salt, because I'm not the most qualified to do this. Okay, we're on to the last few questions now. Let's do this. So how did you find out you needed hormone tablets? So essentially, when I finished my chemo and everything, so essentially when I was on chemo, So it's actually a really weird story. So I had not started my periods before I was diagnosed with cancer. And then radiotherapy comes along about 6 months after I was diagnosed, and very randomly I just had a period. And first of all, the doctors were going crazy because they suspected that I was internally bleeding from my uterus. But no, it turned out to be a period, which is crazy. Some reason my reproductive system kicked back into action. And of course, I didn't want to have to deal with periods whilst going through cancer. So the doctors prescribed me with some sort of pill called norestafrone, I believe. But then once I came off that in remission, we all expected my periods to come back, but they didn't. Nothing came. And of course, when stopping that pill, I got all these menopausal symptoms. Like, I just kept getting hot flashes, I was achy, I was irritable. It'd be winter in the classroom and everyone was wearing their coats, their scarves, everything. But I was just there with just my t-shirt on, like, oh my god, I'm so hot. And everyone used to look at me so weirdly. But it was the menopause. So I talked to my doctor about the symptoms. They gave me a blood test, realised that the levels of estrogen and progesterone in my blood were really low. Therefore, I needed hormone tablets to help me out. So this question is very related to the previous question, but did you get your period before menopause? Did the hormones bring it back, make it come? So as I said in the last question, yes, I did actually get my period, just one, before the menopause. But then after that, what was the rest of the question? Sorry. So when I actually went on the hormone medications, so when I was first on estradiol, which is estrogen only, I didn't get my periods because, of course, there's no progesterone in there, and progesterone is essential for, you know, the blood. But then once I started on Loresterine, my periods came back. Yeah, so yeah, that's that question answered, I guess. I can't really think of anything else to say. Okay, the last question, guys. So, is the menopause as powerful as someone who hadn't had cancer? The same effects? As far as I'm aware, it is the same effects. I haven't talked to any older women about their experience of menopause, so I wouldn't know. But when I look on the NHS website, my symptoms of menopause match up with theirs. So I'm assuming that yes, we do get the same symptoms. I don't think cancer has any impact on that whatsoever. Thank you so much, guys, for watching this video. I really hope this helped you, and I really hope that if you are going through the menopause, then this helped you and it's nice to relate to someone, and hopefully I have kind of helped you think of some ways to kind of cope with it better, because I know that I'm somewhat of an exception of how well I deal with it. So hopefully I've been able to help you through this video. But yeah, make sure to share this video, as the word needs to be spread that people under the age of 30 do actually get the menopause, not just over 50-year-olds. And we shouldn't feel like we need to hide, because, you know, it happens. It happens to 1 in 1,000 women in the UK. So yeah, thank you so much for watching the video. Make sure to like and subscribe, and see you next time.